Joining me at this time in studio is Mark Arabo. Mr. Arabo's family immigrated here from Iraq to the U.S. in 1979. He is the national spokesman for the Chaldean community and is currently working with lawmakers in Washington to grant asylum for Iraqi Christians. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
1.5 million Christians a little less than 10 years ago. It's down to 400,000. Why do you believe it took so long for the American mainstream media to show any interest in the Christian genocide taking place in Iraq?
Well, I could tell you that we've been working on this since 2003. In 2011, we elevated our efforts, and now we've been doing a full court press because this has been a nightmare that's been spanning over 11 years. In 2003, we had 1.5 million people. Today, we have less than 400,000, and the remaining are being systematically targeted, killed, massacred, raped, beheaded. And we sounded this alarm 9 weeks ago. I actually went to Congress and to the State Department and said, this is a full-blown genocide. It's a Christian Holocaust, and the world has a moral obligation to act. President Obama, Congress, the United Nations, they have to act. And we took our plight to the UN 2 weeks ago. I'm speaking with the White House on a weekly basis. We're also talking to folks at the State Department. And so far, we've had France, Australia, and Sweden open up their doors. We need to be the light of the world, as we are.
And the White House has opened their doors?
Well, we have incredible access to them right now, and Ben Rhodes has been tremendous, and he's working on this. It's such a complicated issue, but one thing we know is right now, ISIS wants to take over the territory. Well, what we've said as a community, let's just save the people. It's a humanitarian mission.
Before we go there, let me ask you, did you hear anything from the White House, anything from Congress as to why, and I posed the question to the media a moment ago, as to why the U.S. lawmakers showed no commitment to this until now?
Well, I could tell you when we went there 9 weeks ago, a lot of members of Congress weren't really listening to us. One of them that did listen to us was Congressman Juan Vargas, and he actually authored H.R. 683 in California, and which ended up passing unanimously. But what we've seen in America is grassroots movements. When Americans come together and say, this is what's happening, we need to stop it. And with the help of media, we could change it, and which we're doing right now. All
right. So ISIS is a regional threat, as you point out.
It's a global threat.
Global threat. Should the effort of America be focused on Syria or Iraq? Does it matter at this point in terms of stomping out ISIS?
Well, right now, ISIS started as a regional conflict. It became a global conflict, and now it's really our conflict. When we have a full-blown genocide right before our eyes, when you have women and children being raped and beheaded, we as Americans have to be the light of the world, and we have to act. And so what we're working on right now is some type of asylum. For the folks that want to leave, let them leave. If they want to stay, give them protection. But what we've seen with ISIS, the world hasn't seen a group like this for generations. They are they're extremely sophisticated. They are very organized. They're very well funded. And they want to eradicate Christianity from the region and from the world.
And you believe that ISIS, like Chuck Hagel, you believe ISIS is a long-term problem. It's not going to go away in the next 2 years. It's going to be there for the next president to address.
I can tell you, the next president of the United States, whether it be Clinton or Rubio, whatever it may be, they are going to have to really face ISIS because it is such a global threat, and they're so organized. We need to do what we can as Americans to make sure nothing happens in our home front. The best thing to protect our national security is a strong foreign policy.
Do you still have relatives in Iraq?
I have a distant cousin, a third cousin in Iraq. But what we've had is, since the beginning of this journey, I get hundreds of phone calls every day from everyday families. Yesterday, a mom called me and said that her son was stabbed 14 times and killed.